we're going to transplant these lithops. These are what they are. They're just maybe, what, 9 months old? But they're kind of crowded, so we'll show you. Kind of just get them out of there. So what I do is then I put them all in a little tray, and I have our separator person who separates everything for me.
These are really small. I mean, it looks like
I've transplanted smaller ones when the pot was overcrowded.
So like one root.
They always just have one tap root, at least when they're little. So we try to get them all. This is a very sandy soil. There. So we're gonna clean them up, trim the roots, and then I'll show you how to transplant them. They'll go into two larger pots. I usually add a little water to the soil just to get it a little bit moist, so it'll stick to the pot. It's just a sandy mix. So it's got this red soil, sandy soil, and then these small pumices. And I ran it through a screen just to screen out all the big stuff. These lithops are pretty small, so you don't need this stuff in there. I got this on Amazon. These are pretty cool.
So why is the soil more sandy for lithops compared to some cactus that maybe don't need as much sand?
I just found they grew better in the sandy soil. This baby cactus will grow in sandy soil, but then as they get bigger, you take the sand out of the soil for cactus. But lithops, they only have one little taproot, and maybe where they come from, sandier. I don't know. I just, by trial and error, I found it worked better. One time I used mostly pumice and rocks, and a lot of them died. So this works better for me. So here they are. So before I plant them, I'm going to cut the roots on all of them to about like that.
Why do you cut the roots?
It doesn't hurt them, and they're hard to plant with such a long root. And if the root gets bent up like that, it screws the plant up. So it's better to just. I found it's better to just cut it. That way it doesn't bend and cause problems. They're easier to plant when you do this. They are being cleaned by the expert cleaner. Just stick them in like this. I think I showed another video where I did this.
Oops. You just put them on their side.
I hold the pot on its side and I put them in. Like that, and then I just put another layer. This is why I got the dirt kind of a little bit wet, so it would kind of stick. And I'll just put another layer down.
I see, so you just kind of layer them in.
Yeah. Like that.
So what is the watering like on these lithops? We had some questions about watering schedules and whatnot.
I never water them a lot. Like some people, when you water cactus, the water comes out the bottom of the pot. Lithops, I almost never water them where the water comes out the bottom of the pot anymore. And I usually only water them, well, year round, I guess. When the old leaves are gone, like these ones, the old leaves are gone. You can kind of see the remains of the old leaves, right? See that? So when the old leaves dried up, they'll take water. I guess every two weeks I'll lightly water them. And in the winter time, maybe a little bit less, at least in this climate. But you can kind of look at a lithop, like these ones, this seal is completely, there's no wrinkles on it. So it really, it's got enough water in it to last a while. When they wrinkle up is when they sometimes need water, unless they're forming new leaves. So I guess water them in the spring and in the fall, lightly in the summer and lightly in the winter. Some people don't water them at all in the winter, but in this climate, you can water them a little bit in the winter.
So it's just like a spray bottle or something?
Yeah, yeah. I don't really water my cactus that heavily either in this climate. I used to water it where the water would come out the bottom of the pots, but I don't. With this kind of soil, you don't need to do that. Up in there, it's difficult. He hasn't lost his old leaves completely yet. That's why he's got that kind of ghost-looking skin on him. The biggest problem with lithops when you grow them from seed is you end up with like way too many of them.
Do they generally sprout pretty easy?
Oh yeah, if you have good seeds, they produce thousands of seeds. And I take the seeds and mix them with sand and then put them on the top of a pot. I've even sprouted them in the middle of winter as an experiment here, but that I won't do again. It was too cold and I actually rotted some because it's too cold. So the best time to grow them is in the fall or the spring. Summer here it's not too bad, but if it gets too hot, lithops go dormant and you don't want to give them too much water. They actually need almost less water than cactus. And there we go. You can also do them like that. You can grab the root and just kind of poke it in. This pot's just about done. And then since the soil's uneven, I try to even it out. And now I'll just kind of straighten some of them out a little bit. Probably don't have to do this.
And would you say lithops are like rot prone or just about the same as any other plant?
They're pretty rot prone. If they get too much water, they'll just and they rot really fast. So the trick is you water the soil, but you don't want the soil to stay wet very long. That's why I only lightly spray them. But you can usually tell by like how fat the leaves are. And if you water them too much, they get tall and they look stupid.
Oh, like the ones you see kind of a commercial place.
Yeah, like they grow those fast as they can. Plus, I think they're in peat because they're trying to get them as big as possible to sell as a business. But I don't think they live as long. There you go. And these things kind of live half submerged in the soil, anyways. So I think I had one or so buried. Well, maybe not. Sandy stuff on top. That kind of. There we go. This is just sand that I sifted. These are the bigger particles. Yeah, so they're kind of, some are poking up, some aren't. But they'll be okay.
And that's that kind of light spray you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I water them more than that. When I'm ready to water them, I won't water them for a week or two. But when I'm ready to water them, I'll do that maybe 10 times as much. The water will probably only get down to about here. It won't run out the bottom usually. And yeah, they kind of blend in to the rocks, so they're hard to see anyways. This is like some lava rock stuff. Yep. And this is what the soil looks like. It's just this kind of sandy dirt. So here's some more mesums. These were cuttings. These are conophytum cuttings. That's Ageroderma from seeds. And here's some lithops that were transplanted, maybe 4 months ago, but they're all popping up pretty good. Those are conophytums of some kind. They're a little dormant pretty soon. But here's some lithops I did just a little while ago, and they were all kind of buried, and they're all coming up. These are Dorothy, and there's even a weed seed. So as long as this weed is green and like this, I know there's moisture in the soil. You can see those other ones there. That's why I don't pull them all out. They're kind of like a moisture detector. And I know the lithop has a really long taproot. So even though it looks dry on top, I can see that there's moisture. So the question of when to water them, you're not always going to have weed seeds in your plants, but this is one way, or you can use a toothpick. You just don't have to water these very much. Here's some really small stragglers. I don't like to throw any of them away, so they're really small. And then here's some, I think, that were grown from seed just a little while ago, and then I watered them again, and a bunch of new ones came up, so they didn't all germinate at the same time. This is that's what this is. Lithops Haley variety or Rancheria, and this is a Cole number. And I planted them April 20th, so now it's June, so two months. So they're, once you get the hang of them, these things are, you can easily overwhelm yourself with too many lithops. But there you go. Here's some more of these in there. Dorothy, these were October of last year. So they're 6, 7, 8 months old. They're doing pretty good. They were totally crowded in a pot, so I transplanted them even smaller than the other ones. But they're pretty resilient plants. They're growing away. Eventually, I'll have to transplant these again, and eventually I'll have to give away or sell or probably donate to the cactus sales most of these, because I don't need 1,000 lithops Dorothy. But they are fun to grow. It's easier and faster in this climate than most cactus, I've found. They must like this kind of semi-coastal climate. And this is what conophytums do in June here. They just go dormant, which is fine. So they don't need very much water at all. Lithops are different. You can water them through the summer. Conophytums, they go dormant. I think lithops kind of go dormant too, but maybe it's just not quite hot enough for them to go dormant. But conophytums, they just go dormant. The little ones haven't yet, but by next year, I think they'll get the hang of the cycle. So here's the mesum bench. And these are mostly conophytums, Cherodopsis, a few lithops. A lot of these I bought. Some I grew from seed. I think I grew, usually if they're in a pot like this, I grew them from seed because there's a whole bunch of them. I grew these from seed. These Cherodopsis are pretty neat. This is conophytum. This is they call it baby toes. He's compact to the ground. A lot of people water these a lot, and they get real tall. I like them to look more like pictures I see of what they look like in South Africa. There's some neat conophytums. These are Conophytum perianthus. This is 2018, so they've been around for a while. But mostly, this is not the best time of the year to look at conophytums. But it's interesting, like this one's almost, you can see almost a little bit breaking out. They will start to green up, interestingly enough, around August when it's really hot and there's no rain in sight. But they know once the days start getting shorter, we're almost at the solar solstice. I think it's in a couple days. And once the days start getting shorter, they I think they go by day length, and they'll figure out it's time to grow because rain will come. But yeah, this is different than cactus, but they're still really cool. Screen here because something got in there, probably birds, and I guess birds like to try to eat conophytums. They must look like berries. So I just put this screen here.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I had some on a balcony, a ground level balcony in an apartment I lived in, and turkeys would always come by and peck at them and just absolutely destroy them and try and eat them.
Yeah, it makes a huge mess. These ones they haven't seemed to take a liking to yet. So I guess these ones are safe. These are mostly pterodopsis. Got a euphorbia, some sort of ice plant. That's the albuca. That's a neat plant. I forget what it's called. I forget the name sometimes. They're just cool. This is panda plant. This is really cool. These are going to go dormant. They're flowering now. They'll go dormant. And the birds haven't bothered these ones. So here's bigger lithops. When they get bigger, they start looking like lithops. Those other ones are pretty small. Here's one that's still breaking out of his skin. That's a cutting, and he's slow to turn into get into the rhythm of it all. But yeah, I grew these from seed. These are bigger ones. Some of these I bought. Some I grew from seed. I lost a lot of them when I first was trying to grow lithops because I was watering too much and in the summer. So it's getting about time when they're not going to want a lot of water. And when they look like this, see how fat this thing is with no wrinkles at all? He's just completely plump. He doesn't need water. That's kind of what I judge. I'll look at him, and when they, I think I watered them a little while ago. When they pop up and they get like the tops are round, they're rounded. You don't really need to water them, at least not in this climate. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Here's some. These are miniatures. Vernerii or Werner. I just have lithops everywhere. I think you can get a lot of lithops from they come out of these seed pods. I think. Oh yeah, here's some lithop seed pods. Let me get them wet, and I'll show you what they do. If you want to get your own seeds, you should open up. This is Alkempenei. And here's some more lithops here. Various small ones that just all kind of went into pots. But you can see, compared to cactus, there's just so many more seeds, and they're, once you get the hang of them, they're really not that hard to grow. There's some bigger ones here. I didn't grow these. Someone gave me these. They were pretty big, but probably slowly shrink because I won't water them as much as a person who I got them from. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's these. Is there enough light? See how the seed pod, see how it opens up when it gets wet? And then, so what happens is the rain will come and knock the seeds out, and that's how they distribute seeds. So it's kind of smart. They'll only let their seeds go when it's raining. And the seeds are very small, but you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's hundreds of seeds in there.
Kind of, yeah, it picks up.
They're just little tiny sesame seeds. I mix them with fine sand and put them on top of my soil mix, and then they don't need to be in a plastic either. You can just put them in kind of semi-sun, semi-shade, about 60, 70, 80 degrees. And yeah, they're opening up now. Conophytums do the same thing. It's interesting, South African plants. And then they'll just start sprouting like the ones we saw upstairs. You don't want to let them dry out when they're small. For the first, I would say until they get their first true leaves, you don't want them to dry out. You don't want to flood them with too much water, but you don't want them to be like bone dry. And the same with cactus.